Saol Nua, a new way of life. The real alternative, a new vision of Ireland. Ira Nua, a new democracy, is the title of the Sinn Féin Poblachtach program for the new federal Ireland, which would provide for four provincial parliaments and the maximum measure of local participatory democracy. This structure would replace the two states created in Ireland in 1922 as part of the English settlement of the Irish problem. Ira Nua would ensure that every citizen of Ireland could participate in a new and genuine democracy. New structures in a free Ireland would not be of themselves bring about a just social and economic order, but they would make it possible to introduce progressive policies which would lead to the social, cultural, and economic emancipation of all the Irish people. Any realistic assessment of the results of partition government in Ireland will show that the arrangement has been a failure. The failure of the six-county state is perhaps more obvious and certainly more widely acknowledged. The 26-county state has also been a failure insofar as it has manifestly failed to provide a living in decent comfort for all its citizens. The system of colonial capitalism, which decimated the Irish population under the Act of Union of 1800, still operates in Ireland. For 9 decades of the 20th century, one out of every two persons born in Ireland was forced to immigrate. Those who remained experienced unemployment rates of up to 20% in the 26 counties and 15% in the 6 counties at various times. Even during the period of the Celtic Tiger, one in every four households and one in every five people in the 26 counties were living in poverty. These figures are from Economic and Social Research Institute (ESRI) data and are based on the ESRI 50% poverty line. This poverty line, which is used in many European studies, is a line which is half average income, adjusted for family size and composition. On this basis, the ESRI figures show a substantial increase in poverty between 1987 and 2000. The gap between rich and poor communities, or rich and poor, continues to widen, and the social consequences of this alienation and degradation are tangible and widespread. The United Nations Human Development Report, launched in Dublin in July 2003, contains some shocking statistics for the 26 counties. 9.3% of those born today are not expected to survive the age of 60. 22.6% of adults lack functional literary skills. 12.3% of live below the poverty line as defined by the UN. This means that the 26 county state is second only to the United States as being the most unequal society in what is known as the developed world. That is second worst out of 17 countries. The United Kingdom, which includes the six counties, is ranked 15th. Sweden, Norway, and the Netherlands have the lowest levels of poverty. Membership of the EU since 1973 has served to accelerate the forces of transnational capitalism, which leave Ireland in such a debilitated condition. The new, closer political union envisaged for the EU will result in the Irish people having even less control of their own affairs, and we shall be treated as a mere region by the economic planners who serve the interests of big business and the transnational companies. The substantial increase of employment opportunities which came with the Celtic Tiger was brought about by the arrival of EU structural funds and the encouragement of foreign, mainly US, capital investment by reducing tax on corporate profits. A lot of new employment is in low-paid service jobs. A significant price has been and will be paid for this strategy. Irish sea fisheries have already been decimated by the fleets of other EU states, and tens of thousands of farmers have been driven off the land. Indigenous industry has been neglected. Housing accommodation is outrageously expensive. The tax base has been narrowed in such a way that our spending on social protection expenditure has become the lowest in the EU. This expenditure includes spending on healthcare, unemployment, disability, old age, family, children, and initiatives to deal with social exclusion. The advent of the euro currency has deprived us of one of the pillars of national sovereignty, a national currency, and the right to set our own interest and exchange rates. All of these developments place us in a precarious position whenever the foreign capitalists begin to pull out and locate elsewhere in the world, wherever they can find cheaper labor. All of this free movement of capital has produced a real danger that the Irish banking system will fall completely into foreign ownership. The collapse of the Soviet system in Eastern Europe does not at all signal the triumph of capitalism or market economies. Both systems have been centralizing, impersonal, unecological, and unethical. They have been disabling for millions of people by making them dependent, and they have been destructive of the earth and its resources. The high consumption, high pollution lifestyles of the rich countries are based on the exploitation of the poorer nations and are now also hopelessly unsustainable. Free reign transnational capitalism is a denial of true democracy, is outside of any democratic control, is predatory and dehumanizing, and has not served the interest of the majority of people. The pursuit of endless economic growth, ever more centralized and undemocratic as within the EU, must be replaced by a completely new decentralized and humane system. Sinn Féin Poblachtach sees conventional economies as an unsustainable discipline which must be subordinated to social, environmental, ethical, and spiritual values. Decentralized and humane system. We need a new system of economies which would put human beings and human development before the interests of finance and maximization of profits. Major changes are now needed in order to promote the true long-term interests of people and social justice. We need to create a new vision of the Ireland we want, lay our plans accordingly, and give our people a sense of direction and purpose. It is apposite to recall here the prophetic words of the Irish patriot James Connolly, quote, "If you remove the English army tomorrow and hoist the green flag over Dublin Castle, unless you set about the organization of the Socialist Republic, your efforts would be in vain. England would still rule you through her capitalists, through her landlords, through her financiers, through the whole array of commercial and individualist institutions she has planted in this country and watered with the tears of our mothers and the blood of our martyrs. England would still rule you in your ruin, even while your lips offered hypocritical homage at the shrine of that freedom whose cause you had betrayed." End quote. James Connolly and Patrick Pearse died, but the system they sought to change continues in existence to this very day. This system has forced 2 million Irish people to immigrate since 1916. Here, all this document Sinn Féin Poblachtach seeks to outline the principal elements of its social and economic program. We are of a firm belief that a continuation of the present system, whether on the basis of the partition arrangement or in some form of united Ireland within or without the EU, cannot bring about the human, social, and economic development which would promote freedom, equality, justice, and the happiness of each community and each individual person in it. Centuries of colonialism and decades of high immigration and unemployment have produced a psychology of defeatism in Ireland. To accept these problems as inevitable is to lower our standards of national achievement. The politicians who advocate closer integration into the EU see this body as a mere mechanism of escape from their own ineptitude and failures. Something new based on a set of human values and on policies designed to promote these values is needed. These values and policies are outlined below and indicate the road to a new society in Ireland. Saol Nua.